Hey guys, in today's video I'm going to talk about the raw truth of entrepreneurship and running different businesses. Now, this video probably won't do very well at all. It probably won't get many views at all. The reason why is YouTube likes to prioritize those big, shiny, colorful, screaming in your face thumbnails which say if you follow these 3 tactics you can get to 10 grand a month. So this video is absolutely nothing like that at all. Entrepreneurship for me was incredibly tough. It may be one of the toughest things I have ever actually done. And over my time as being an entrepreneur, I've done multiple businesses. I have ran, content businesses. I've ran agency businesses, lead gen businesses, affiliate businesses. I've done all sorts of different social media stuff. I have consulted for business owners who are starting to come up, in the world of business, right? I've consulted for massive brands as well. I've built software businesses. So I've done a lot of things. And over that time, I have been ripped off, had failures of businesses, been double crossed on deals. I have, been spent like a year, even more time of funneling my money and time into something and it being like a complete waste. And then on the other end of the scale, I've had massive success as well. And so this video is all about some of the things that you might be able to take away and learn from this as well. And this is going to lead on to my first point, when I first started in business, I looked to several different places to work out what on earth I do and how I actually grow a business. And I tell you what, it was confusing. And in 2024, it is even more confusing. I was watching this podcast of this young guy the other day, and he was being interviewed. It was like a businessy podcast. And he was saying that getting to 10 grand a month from zero is unbelievably easy. And he was basically insinuating that anybody who can't do it is pretty much an idiot. Now, I struggled at getting to my first 10 grand in my month. It was really tough. It was way tougher than I thought. I tried a million things. I worked round the clock and nothing really worked until finally it did, right? Which made me think, when I was listening to this guy, what does he really know? And I had a little look into him, and it turns out that with his business, he never actually made 10 grand a month until he started selling courses teaching other people how to make 10 grand a month, right? So the person who is insinuating that you're a bit of an idiot if you can't get to 10 grand a month actually couldn't do it with his own business. And that brings me to my first point. How do you find good information out there from reliable people who've actually been there and done that, who aren't just going to show you, all the rewards of entrepreneurship and actually teach you the real things that really do work? It's tough, let me tell you that. Even me being experienced these days, it still takes me a little while of looking at something before I'm like, nah, this guy's full of, basically. First of all, let me say, experience is absolutely king here. It is way better to get yourself in the action as fast as possible and try and get yourself some experience, whether it's around people, whether it's around business, and through that, learn on the way rather than trying to learn loads of stuff up front, which might end up being wrong. It's better that you test the new ideas that you are getting in your head from all the knowledge that's out there, test them, see if they work for you, and then move on, because you could be learning on bad foundations. One of the best things I ever did was, when I was 18 years old, I got myself a bar job. I then went to university, still kept the bar job, came home, was a bar manager. You might think, well, what does that have to do with running a business? So I was pretty much like an operations manager by that point. So I got to run different types of pub businesses, learn everything about profit and losses, learn everything about what gets customers in the building. And this operations manager job taught me how to manage a team and communicate with people. It taught me how to deal with conflict when a person's shouting in your face and they're really drunk and they're a bit violent, they've got a bit of name for themselves in the town that I was in. It taught me everything about that, which are things that helped me later on when it came to judging a person's character when I was doing business with them. It also taught me the importance of rearranging the menu and how if you had something like an item on the menu in a certain place, they were more likely to buy it there. And then it taught me how to experiment with pricing when it came to getting more customer orders in. All these little things were gained in an environment which was just a typical job, right? So you need a little bit of real world experience, I think, before you actually go and start business. And the reason why is because it's like a big slap across the face. And this big slap, you get loads of experience in it as well. So think, do you actually want to start in business? And if you do want to start in business, is there a type of job you can do which is going to help develop those skills, whether it's around finances, whether it's around managing people? That's what I did. Whether it's around, going and working for an agency, which they teach you some of the processes of how to run maybe Facebook ads or how to market, how to sell. Like, I didn't know any of this stuff. I had to learn the sales and marketing stuff, but I already came in with a foundation of people management, of understanding business at quite a high level and in some detail levels as well. What drove prices, what got people to buy, having that conversation with that customer and judging what sort of offer I could say to them, which would get them to spend a little bit more and have an even better time, and ultimately understanding everything about customer experience. It's a little bit deep, that, but that's number one. If you can do that, you are more likely to spot good information in the future, because you need a base of information to understand what's good, what's bad information, right? So that's number one. Secondly, as well, business is a marathon, and I did not understand this at first. I picked up, some courses which taught me to outreach to people, to send DMs to people, and I worked around the clock. I was in a 9-to-5 job. I was actually in an 8-to-6 job, Monday to Friday, and during my time when I was in my job, I was thinking and strategizing about what I could do to increase my business, which was on the side. When I got home, I then spent all my time focusing on my business. I wasn't sleeping very well because we were in like an apartment and it was super noisy. We had super noisy neighbors. And then eventually, after 6-7 months of working every single day, non-stop. By the way, I also hired an accountability coach to get me to increase my output and to help me do more goals. But by the time I'd done this for 7-8 months in a row and I worked myself to the bone, I started to wake up in the middle of my sleep and have these massive anxiety moments, right? Like panic moments, panic attacks basically. And I'd never experienced anything like that before, but basically it was because I was burning the candle at both ends, going to bed super late, getting up super early. I was really, really stressed with trying to manage everything. And that burnt me out to the point where I needed to take my foot off the accelerator. And looking back, I'm probably grateful for the huge amount of experience I gained in those 6, 7, 8 months from really, really pushing it. But at the same time, it was incredibly stressful. And I've realized now, years later, that actually business is a marathon. It's not a sprint, and you should treat it like that. Concentrate on building up a single small foundation every single day. So for instance, if your goal is to make $10,000 a month, don't think to yourself, how do I go and make $10,000 a month? What can I do right now to make $10,000 a month? Think in terms of processes. Think of the outcome that you want, but then break it down. Like, what do I need to do to reach this? Well, I know I need to start speaking to my potential customers out there. So that's the first step, right? So then can you break it down and a step even further than this? Well, I know I need to send 100 DMs every single day to hit that goal. Is that realistic for someone who's actually starting business? It's probably not, to be honest with you. At least it wasn't for me, because it's a big step to jump in the ice cold water, and it can be draining very, very quickly. It's like learning to, remember the marathon analogy, it's like learning to run the marathon, but straight away jumping into the 25 or whatever it is, 26-mile marathon, rather than just warming up, right? Runners don't do that. People who are training in gyms don't do that. They start light first. If you go into the gym, don't expect to be bench pressing 200, 300 pounds on your first day. You're probably going to start with the bar first. Probably going to start with just the technique on the bar. So think to yourself, can I, on my first day, find people who I want to reach out to and just get a list of them? List doesn't have to be big. Could be like 2 or 3 people, right? Start there, the small, tiny step forward. What we're trying to do is we're trying to build up momentum. After you've got a little bit of momentum, over a few days, you've built up a little list of people that you're going to reach out to. Reach out to the first person after a few days. Don't reach out to all of them, right? It blows your mind too much. It's too hard. So just do this, start building up momentum in that way, and you're going to increase your confidence. You're going to increase your how comfortable you are with the process, and you're also going to learn to take massive goals, which at the start, getting a certain amount of money in your bank account every month is a massive goal, right? Producing that on your own, contrary to popular belief, is a massive goal. So can you just break these tiny steps down into things which are manageable? Send that single DM to that single person, right? You don't need to go hard straight away because it's a marathon, right? To build up, your brain needs to make the connection with each other that you can do these things on your own. So once you've done that to the first person, the next day send 2 out, the next day send 3 out, right? We're just going to be building up momentum. So that's how you make things very sustainable in business. And then before you know it, you're doing lots of different DMs a day. It's as simple as brushing your teeth. You're in the habit of doing it. It's not a big thing anymore. And then once you've got that habit in place, the next habit is like, well, how do I get these people on sales calls? And you build the foundation very, very slowly like this. That's what I wish I would have done at the start. And that when I was consulting for small business owners who were struggling with some of the similar problems I had early on, that is what I taught them to do. And the wheels didn't fall off their wagon, right? And they found it much more comfortable. And then after a while, they could push themselves. People are trying to push themselves when it's like going to the gym, right? And then pushing yourself on your first gym session, then for the next 2 weeks, you're unbelievably stiff. Afterwards, like your muscles are aching, your joints are aching, right? You've overdone it. Don't want to reach that point in business straight away. So that's the second thing I recommend everyone does. So number 3, which kind of leads on from number 2. When you start in business, you are a level 1 noob, right? Don't be thinking that you should be doing level 100 things. It takes a while to build up the levels before you unlock the next level, which allows you to get a new skill, right? So for instance, for me, I did a CV/resume writing business. And then I also did an interview coaching business. And then I moved into career coaching, right? And at each step of the way, I could charge slightly more. But if I ever tried to increase my prices, because maybe I was too busy, to a point which was uncomfortable for me, the sale always failed, right? I just couldn't do it. And the reason why is I grew up as quite a poor person. And for me to ask someone for $2,000 for a coaching package, right? That was, it didn't sound like it came from a place of experience, right? It sounded like I was almost asking for permission for that $2,000, right? Rather than this is what the price is and all confident. I hadn't got enough experience to ask for those higher prices yet. So I needed to go back and slowly, just in increments, ask for a little bit more each time. And then eventually I got more comfortable with the $2,000 deal, which is what I was trying to charge when I was in career coaching. And then from there, in increments again, I went all the way up and I eventually did I think 11 grand in a day, right? That only worked because it was in increments and I built up the relevant skill level going along. All these people online are like, just charge to get your first 10 grand a month, just charge one client 10 grand a month. I'm like, that's not how the human brain works. It's not helpful to tell people to do that. What will be more helpful is if a person has never done business before, is to tell them to charge just a little bit, even offer services free at first until they get a bit comfortable with the process, and then start charging a little bit once they realize their value is a little bit more, right? Once you've encouraged them, the value is a little bit more. So people need to come to the realization themselves and feel confident asking for these prices, but it's the same with everything. At first, maybe you only want to email one person on your email list. I've sent out millions and millions and millions of emails now throughout my career, right, in business. I've sent out millions and millions and millions of emails, but at the start I was intimidated to send out one email. I was like, how will this person read it? So you need to understand that everything works in levels, and it works in levels of how comfortable and confident you are. And until you can master each level before it, you can't go to the level in front. So you look at everything like a video game. So what we talked about in this video, right? I talked about getting good quality knowledge. Try your best to get into a career is the easiest way. It's what I did. That's somehow going to support your skills in business. That's somehow going to grow those skills over time, even though you're spending time learning under someone else on their time and on their payroll rather than making the mistakes yourself. Secondly, It's a marathon, not a sprint. You want to be starting off really, really, really slowly. Thirdly, you want to be doing increments to grow your confidence all the way along. If you just do these three things, it's way easier to actually start building, a business, to build something which is a lot more successful, and you get more notches on your belt this whole time, and this can help you later. Focus on getting the experience first. Don't focus on the money, just focus on the process. Hope this video helped you guys, but that's ultimately what helped me. So see you in the next one. Take care. Leave me a comment below if you've got something to say to this as well. Take it easy. See you later.